Hi, I'm John and I'm the Jigsaw Puzzle. And today's puzzle is this beauty. It's by the photographer Stephen Wilkes. He's an American photographer who has done a series of jigsaw puzzles in that called Day to Night. This particular puzzle is of the Regata Storica in Venice. The Regata Storica is a boat regatta of gondolas and other boats down the Grand Canal in Venice in a sort of reenactment of historic boat parades down the canal. There are people on the boats in traditional Renaissance Venetian costumes and costumes from the height of the Venetian Empire, and it is quite magnificent. It's a 1036 piece puzzle. Stephen has set up his camera at a particular point in Venice. I'm not sure if it's from a bridge or from a window as the canal curves around here, and he has let it record automatically still shots over a 30-hour period. Then he's taken those photos and amalgamated a selection of them into this photo so that it shows the passing of time from day to night in a single image. It's really quite clever. The image itself is very, very sharp and clear, which I'm really pleased about. A lot of photographic images are a little out of focus in places, but this one is quite clear all over, and making it easier to do the whole puzzle. I purchased this puzzle at an op shop. It was very inexpensive, and I always assumed that there might be a piece missing, even if the op shop themselves say that they've been checked. The op shop that I went to, I think this was an op shop where they said to me that they have a person who counts out the pieces, and so I'm assuming that that person counted out 1036 pieces, not the 1000 pieces, because the whole puzzle is complete, and it's a really beautiful puzzle. All right, so that's the quality of the image. Now, the quality of the pieces themselves. They are a moderately thick cardboard. Not the thickest I've seen or the thickest I've got, but certainly not the thinnest. There are some that are pretty much on slivers of cardboard that are a little better than stiff paper. I really don't like those. But this one is on moderately thick card. However, it's a loose fit puzzle. If I try to pick this up, it might just hold together, but it is coming apart as I pick it up. It'll be very easy to take apart. So I haven't turned it around for the video because I simply don't trust myself to pick it up, and I don't want to do it, large sections of it again, in one sitting. So I've left it as it is. So it's a loose fit. It is ribbon cut, but it is not all two-prong pieces. There are lots of different shapes, and some of them are skewed slightly, so it made it easier to put together to look for all those other shapes. I thought when I bought this puzzle that the sky, all of this section here, the top third of it, almost half, about a third of the puzzle, would be really difficult, and I was not looking forward to doing that. When you watch the time lapse, you'll see that I did the sky quite early on, and to my surprise, it was a lot quicker than I imagined it might be. It is graded from this yellow to a faint greenish here in the middle, up to the white, and then blue, and out really purple on this side and much bluer on this side. The gradients of colour did help. It also helped pulling out all of the sky pieces, or as many of the sky pieces as I could find, and simply lining them all up down the sides of the puzzle and trying pieces one at a time. Because there are unique shape pieces and they're not all the same, it did make it slightly easier to put that together. However, this puzzle, because of its loose fit, does have a number of false fits. Quite a few times I put a piece in that I thought went somewhere and then I simply had to move it. Probably didn't have to move it very far, but I still had to move it. These two corners here, the dark corners, I had those around the wrong way for a long time and I simply couldn't get pieces to join. In fact, I couldn't join the corners onto the edge, the dark right-hand edge at all until towards the very end of the puzzle, and you'll see that in the time lapse. I'm surprised that I got the border out so quickly. I did that first so that I knew the dimensions of the puzzle. Then I thought, well, I'm going to do this motif down here, this gondola in the sunset illuminated part of the water. So I did that first, and that came together pretty quickly. Then I decided to divide the puzzle into sections, and I would look for the edge of the buildings, where the buildings met the sky. That way I could create a defining line across the picture. I would know how big the sky is and how much there was of everything else. My preference is, I have a love for architectural puzzles. Puzzles of buildings. I'm not really keen on skies and landscapes and things. I do have them and I do them, but I love buildings. And I thought to myself, well, the buildings here, I'll be able to do those straight away. So I didn't. What I did was the sky first, and I did the buildings almost last. Apart from some dark sections down here, the buildings were pretty much last because I knew that I would be able to do them fairly easily. The ships themselves, the gondolas, were quite easy to do, to be honest. Many of them have different textures and colours as a feature. This one here, for example, is purple. This one is blue with gold. This one here is red and gold. This has got red and white. There's green here. So each of them is a little bit distinctive. And so it was not hard to find the pieces in the puzzle trays to put those together. This gondola here, which you can barely see, even on the puzzle, it's in the shadow, was the hardest of all because the pieces didn't pop out in amongst all the other dark pieces. So I did the sky, I did the gondolas, and then I did the buildings. And the buildings themselves, because it goes from day to night, left and right, were actually quite easy to sort out and separate in the trays. We've got this ochre coloured building here, a slightly pinker oranger version of ochre over this side. We've got white in the middle, and then sunset colours on the front of this facade here, even though up close you can see the details quite well. From a distance, they all do look rather similar. But it was easy to pick those out because it was the only building with a sunset light on the facade. And then it was just simply a matter of filling in all the tiny details around and about. So all of the mooring poles, the crowd over here, there's a stand here with designed for crowds to come and watch the regatta. And then it's quite dark in through the middle section here with some street lights and other buildings which are quite indistinct. The water, I thought, might be a problem as well. I'm not keen on doing lots and lots of water or lots and lots of sky in a puzzle. I find that a bit tedious. I like to actually feel like I'm making progress with the puzzle. But surprisingly, just like the sky, the water here was terribly achievable. There are so many textures and colours in the water. Obviously, there's this sunset patch over here that illuminates this gondola, which fades out from the bright light through to sort of reddish or reddish-brown colours. You've got quite bright white colours or silvery grey colours in the water up here. Down here, it's a lot more steely grey colours. And then, of course, the boats and the oars sticking out give you reference points that fill in a large proportion of the water before you know it. The hardest part was this dark strip down here. Even up close, the image is quite indistinct on the puzzle. That's not helped by the super glossy surface of this puzzle. I've got a couple of lights here shining on the puzzle, and at times it was difficult to see what I was looking at. I often sit in the one spot and just do the puzzle from here, but because of the lights, I found myself getting up and moving around the table and practically hanging over the puzzle just to see what I was doing. You'll see that in the time lapse. As I move around, you'll see more of me on the edges of the puzzle than just my hands. And that's unusual. I usually just have my hands in the time lapse videos. This was a beautiful puzzle. It was quick to do, a lot quicker than I imagined. I think I did this in about 4 hours, which is totally surprising given the acreage of sky in the picture. I'm really happy with this puzzle. I'm generally happy with the brand, though given that it's a loose fit, I couldn't pick sections up and move them easily without breaking them apart. That's a small hassle, I suppose. If I was speed puzzling and I was doing a section outside the frame, I'd want to just be able to pick it up and put it in rather than wasting time reconstructing something. But as that wasn't the case here, I'm just putting it together for my own pleasure. It didn't really matter. And there weren't huge sections like that anyway. I built the sky in place, and that's probably the largest section of all one design or texture. The buildings here, I did build some bits of them, and the boats outside the frame, and I could just pick them up and put them in a few pieces at a time and just rearrange them there. Not really a big hassle. So overall, I'm quite happy with the quality. I'm certainly happy with the image, and I'm very happy with the speed at which I was able to do this, given the apparent difficulty when you first look at the image. So let's go to the time lapse, and I hope you enjoy Regata Storica, Venice.